Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I wanted to thank you, gentlemen, for your service. I also want to follow up on the line of questioning that Senator Donnelly was just talking about in terms of missile defense, and he and Senator Sessions, actually everybody on this committee has been a real strong supporter of that, and having both the two COCOM commanders in front of us who are tasked with that, I'd like to dig into some details. Admiral Haney and Admiral Gortney, can North Korea range any part of the United States right now in terms of their missile capability, and that's either the mainland or Alaska or Hawaii or any American territories in the Pacific?
Yes, sir. As the commander accountable of holding the trigger to defend the nation against that particular threat, I assess that they have the ability to put an ICBM in space and range the continental United States and Canada.
So clearly then Hawaii and Alaska are in
absolutely,
range.
yes, sir.
And do we anticipate that we'll have, you say ICBM, but nuclear capability ICBM
yes,
now
sir.
or soon?
I assess as the commander there that it's the prudent decision on my part to assume that he has the capability to miniaturize a nuclear weapon and put it on an ICBM, and I have the ability today
and range the continental United States
and range all of the states of the United States and Canada, and we have the ability to engage that threat. Intel community gives it a very low probability of success, but I do not believe the American people want to base my readiness assessment on a low probability.
I think you're very correct in that. How about Iran? Same question.
Iran, we do not assess they have the ability to do it today. Should they have the ability to do it today, I have the ability to engage it today.
And when do you think they'll have the ability?
It's a decision on their part, sir, and it's a decision if they want to nuclearize, whether they want to develop, complete the development of an ICBM, and then the re-entry vehicle. And so we track very carefully all three of those pieces.
Do you think they're cooperating with North Korea on some of this right now?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you anticipate that that threat will continue to grow and probably they'll be able to reach Hawaii, Alaska, the East Coast, continental U.S. within 5 years?
Well,
if they continue on their current path.
We look at it in 1, 2, and 3. A decision to nuclearize, a decision to put it on a warhead, and a decision to be able to actually put the reentry vehicle all together. When they make that decision, it's a 1, 2, 3 decision on their part. And we track, and we look very closely. We have the intel community looking very closely at each one of those pieces.
So I've been supportive of the Department of Defense, Obama administration's missile defense budget, and you probably saw this committee's been very supportive of that. I've lately heard concerns that maybe in this year's budget there's not enough. Can you, either Admiral Haney or Admiral Gortney, can you talk about what you think in terms of, given these threats, which are quite significant, the role of Fort Greely, the role of our GBIs, do we think we have enough right now? And importantly, do we have enough, particularly on the radar and ground-based interceptor element right now, but do we have enough to deal with the threat that certainly seems to be increasing? So does 41 do it, or should we anticipate having more because it doesn't look like the Iranians or North Koreans are going to be standing down their missile capability anytime soon?
It'll be 44 interceptors by the end of 17. 44 in Fort Greely in the great state of Alaska, and the necessary sensors are going all in place of Alaska because of the strategic importance of Alaska. It's not going to be enough because it's not going to be able to outpace the threat in the number of raid counts, the number that can be shot at us as we project into the future, which is why the investments that you all have supported in the research and development are so important to get us on the correct side of the cost curve. Because on our current path, using the current technologies and one interceptor versus one warhead in mid-course is a failing proposition because they can produce more than we can ever possibly afford to put in the ground.
So do you anticipate in 5 to 10 years, as the threat grows, as the rogue nation missile capability increases, as the number of missiles they have increases, as their ability to nuclearize payloads, miniaturize the nuclear payloads increases, are we going to need more ground-based interceptors to keep up with that threat?
we're going to need more capability to engage the threat throughout its flight. Keep them on the ground, kill them on the rails, kill them in boost phase, and then get more warheads in space in mid-course. We have to be able to engage it right now throughout the flight of the profile, not just in mid-course with one rocket against one very expensive rocket against another rocket.
And in your professional military opinion, do we have enough, is the current budget on these issues, given the threat, which you've just laid out is quite significant, including North Korea being able to hit the continental United States, does the current budget, in your professional military opinion, have enough resources dedicated to missile defense to keep us safe now and, importantly, to keep up with this growing threat?
Working very closely with Admiral Searing, who's in charge of developing this at the Missile Defense Agency. Last year's budget, we think, was adequate for us to improve what we have and invest in those technologies and see if those technologies will bear out to get us on the correct side of the cost curve and engage throughout the flight of these missiles.
This year's budget?
This year's budget, yes, sir. But should those technologies come forward, the budget's not enough to put those capabilities into production and deliver those capabilities. So once we prove, say, the laser technology that can hit there, multi-object kill vehicle technology that's out there, should those technologies bear out, and they are very, very promising, then we're going to be needing an increase in the budget to put those capabilities in place.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.